Hi everyone. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Just to get started, I'm going to hand over to Andrew Small, who's going to be leading our session this evening.
Thanks, Owen. Good evening, everybody. Yes, as Owen mentioned, my name is Andrew Small, one of the match official developers with England Rugby, and I'll be leading the session, which is the sixth and final in this series around the DLV Coherence events. Obviously, we've got myself and Owen Taylor from the match official development team on the call this evening. You'll be delighted to know Owen is in charge of IT and looking after the chat box, so you don't have to put up with me. But we do hope that you are able to interact through the chat, and please do bear with us if you do have a question. Owen will try and answer those as best he can. Also, you may have seen on the screen, delighted to welcome National League Match Official Team referee Adam Wookie, and we're going to hear from Adam a little bit later on when we go through our Coherence clips. Just finally, this event will be available on demand after the session this evening, and you will be sent a link. So hopefully, for those of you who wish to go back and revisit clips and look at some various answers, etc., we'll be able to do so when that email comes through to you, and you can watch the event back. So we'll move on to the slides and make a start on our three clips, please.
Yeah, so for everybody that's been on our calls before, it's going to be a very, very similar structure. Smalley's going to take us through the first few bits of almost housekeeping, which again, if you've been on our sessions before, you'll have seen them hopefully 6 times if you've been on all of them so far. And then take us through a few clips. I have had a message from Adam that he's struggling a little bit with his internet, so it may be that you are going through the clips with just me and Smalley tonight, but hopefully, fingers crossed that Wookie can make it
on. Thanks, Owen. So if we just move on, please, mate. So just a reminder about the tackle height law update. Obviously, from the beginning of this season or late in July, the tackle height came into rugby in the community game in England. There are 4 references and definitions for you to consider. For those of you that have been on these calls before, you'll be totally familiar with them. I'll get quiet for 30 seconds or so just to have an opportunity for people to read. As you can see, there are 4 law references and definitions there. So 911A, players must not do anything that is reckless or dangerous, including leading with the head, shoulder, elbow, forearm, or jumping into or over an opponent. 911B, that is a change to the law from the DLVs, as in came into law in July, around the ball carrier must not lower their height significantly before making contact with an opponent. 912, a player must not physically or verbally abuse anyone. Physical abuse includes, but is not limited to, biting, punching, contact with the eye, etc. And 913, a player must not tackle or attempt to tackle an opponent early, late, or dangerous. And obviously, we're looking at tackling or attempting to tackle an opponent in open play above the base of the sternum. And that is a key phrase within our tackle height here in the community game in England. What we've got here for you are 3 useful resources. So those of you who are tech savvy will know those QR codes. Simply point your phone or electronic device up and it will pick up those 3 links for you. The Tackle Height Hub has a lot of useful information around our whistle stops, and also will have the previous 5 DLV Coherence events on them as well. Keep Your Boots On, again, a great resource around our refereeing fraternity. And the GMS Course Finder, for those of you perhaps with coaching or playing background, may be interested in joining in refereeing as well. And you can find our England Rugby Refereeing Awards and Introduction to Refereeing Awards on your GMS Course Finders. We also have RFU Tackle Champions who are available to go out and work with clubs, teams, societies. And you can find us on social media, on X, on Facebook and Instagram with the 3 handles that you see at the bottom of the page. In the coherence activities, you'll see a clip or series of clips. They'll be played once in real time and then they'll be slowed down. We'd like you to consider the following questions. What sanction would you give, if any? How confident are you that you have made an accurate and credible decision? Adam will then take you through the picture boarding, what he has seen from a refereeing point of view, and then we'll look through in regards to what others on the call have come up with as well. We'd encourage you to use the chat box where possible, and as I said, Owen will try his very best to try and keep up with your questions this evening. And just as a little reminder for everybody, and I know a lot of you will have been through our England Rugby Refereeing Award, we are looking for the desk principal this evening. So please, describe what the individual has done, explain why the action is unacceptable, outline the sanction, and confirm that the individual player understands the consequences should they choose to continue. So we've now got clip one. We'll play through at full speed, at half speed, and then we'll ask Adam for his thoughts on the clip. There will also be a poll, and you'll be given some time to vote on that. So thank you, Owen.
Cheers, everyone. First clip coming now, then. So what I'm going to do now is obviously open the polls for everyone. Two questions that Small has alluded to. The first one is around your decision. So we're asking whether you think it's play on, if it's just a penalty, if you are going penalty yellow card or penalty red card. And then the follow-up question is around your confidence. Those of us that have been on the calls throughout the series, we just want to know how confident you are in that your decision is accurate and credible, and aligns with kind of the group that we've run through these clips with. For a little bit of context, these are our National League match official team clips from their own coherence exercise that we ran this week. So yeah, I'll just give you a little bit more time while Wookie talks through that first clip.
Thanks, Owen. Good evening, Adam. I hope you can hear us and see us. If you wouldn't mind just storyboarding this first clip for us, please, just while we wait for individuals on the call to put their votes in. Good evening. I hope you're well.
Yeah, so I hope you can hear me in the middle of Costa here. So it's an interesting evening. So for me, we've got clearly it's more than a metre away from the ruck, so we have got the ability that we're going to go with the DLVs now. So we've got more than a clear pass, more than a metre away from the ruck, and we've already got white, we'll call them white, set to tackle. You've clearly then got 6 who's got a ball in an upright position, and just before the tackle is lowering his height. So it's immediately before the tackle, so it's very late, and it is going low, which is putting his head in the space of the other person. So the heads are in the same space, so therefore I'm looking at this as a late and low penalty.
Adam, just to pick up on the very first piece you said, you mentioned that the fact that the incident occurred a metre away. Can you just clarify why that's important under the DLVs, please?
Yeah, so under the DLVs, we have got that thing around the breakdown. If it's within a metre, we deemed it that they could be low around that metre area on the pick and go. But if it's more than that away, then we deem it as DLV.
Okay, thank you. And we lost you just for a very moment when you mentioned around the sanction, etc. Owen, we'll come to you. Have the polls come in, mate? And what are some of the thoughts of people on the call, please?
Yeah, can you hear me, Smalley?
Yeah.
Good stuff. So we've got a really good coherence on this, and it's positive to see that as we've gone through the series, we are getting more and more aligned as a group. So we've got nearly 80% of people are at penalty only. We've got a couple of people at play on and a couple of people at yellow card. So actually, from an illegality perspective, we're nearly at 90%. 90% of people can see this as being foul play, and we've got a really good level of confidence as well off the back of that, which is good. Up around, there's most people are in that 3 and 4 category. I think if we look at why maybe it's just a penalty, or we'll come to the agreed outcome in a second. Adam might be able to talk us through why or why not it may be just a penalty as opposed to anything more. So I'll just load the agreed outcomes on now for you.
Thanks, Owen. So I'll read through the agreed outcomes, and then obviously, Adam, we will come back to you. So based on the protocol around the DLV, the first question is, has there been foul play? And in this incident, there has. The blue defender's bent at the waist and attempting to make a below the sternum tackle. Contact is made above the sternum of the blue defender. This is due to the late and low body change in height from the black ball carrier. So it is the black player who initiates the above the sternum contact and puts their head in the same airspace. And the recommended outcome and the coherence from the National League match official team is that this is a penalty only. Adam, just around that penalty only, I know you mentioned it when you storyboarded the clip. Are there any other considerations that a referee may or may not take into account around the final sanction for this clip, please?
I think for me, it's got to be whether you've got direct head contact and the level of danger. So in this case, we haven't got direct head contact, and it's when you play it through, it is a relatively low danger.
Brilliant. Very well described. Thank you very much. Thanks, Adam. We'll move on. Thank you, Owen. This is clip 2, same process, everybody. So you'll see the clip at full speed, then it'll be slowed down. We'll ask Adam to storyboard the clip for us while you're voting, and then we'll again go through the agreed outcomes as well. So thank you.
Okay, so like Smalley says, same procedure. I'm going to send through the...
So Adam, we'll come to you while the poll's up and running. If you could just storyboard the clip for us, please, and let us know from a referee point of view what you're thinking about, please.
So first things here we're looking at is where we're going to go. What's this player going to do? So what yellow we always know has the opportunity to go low here. He has the opportunity to bend at the waist, and he's chosen not to. And then we've got contact. It looks like above the sternum. So have we got fault with the tackler? Yes, we have fault with the tackler because they could have bent at the waist. But it is a very passive tackle. So therefore, we're looking at the fact of it's a low degree of danger. So probably it will be a penalty only DLV for this.
Okay. You mentioned the word passive tackle. There may well be some players and coaches on the call as well. From a refereeing point of view, can you just explain what you mean by a passive tackle to everybody, please?
Yeah, so for passive, I mean, it means that effectively it's not an active tackle going forward, so that they haven't driven into the player. So yellow hasn't driven purple backwards. What yellow have done is they've absorbed the tackle and gone backwards here. So therefore, for me, that's passive way of tackling.
All right, that's great, perfect, thank you. Owen, we'll come to you just around the polls and the thoughts of people on the call, please.
Yeah, perfect. So we've had some really nice data that's come in. Again, if we consider people that think it's illegal versus people that think it's play on, we're at again around that 90% piece, which I think is fantastic. If we're making 90% coherent calls. Whether that's just us refereeing on our own, from a consistency perspective, I think we're not doing too bad. We've got 75% of people are at penalty only, so agreeing with Adam and hopefully agreeing with the group when we go through onto the next slide. We do have a couple of people who are at yellow card and red card, but I think based on how Adam's described it, I think that's a really nice way. And you may have seen on the previous slide, slightly different to our other sessions, there's quite a lot of language and words that are in red. That's because that's the language that we think is really appropriate to use in this scenario and in this clip. So it'd be good when we have a look at the agreed outcome, Andrew, that specific language and why we should use that in these clips.
That's great, thank you. So the agreed outcome through the National League match official team, again, that first key question, was there foul play? Yes, there was, and how we would describe it. The key wording here is the tackler is always upright and makes contact above the base of the sternum. And as Owen mentioned previously, the key terminology is around the player or the defender is always upright and the contact is made above the base of the sternum. In this clip, they feel that there is no clear head-on-head contact, but heads are in the same headspace. There is no latent low or change in body height from the ball carrier. And as Adam quite rightly described, that it is passive contact from the defender and not dynamic. And what we mean by this is the ball carrier wins the collision, as in they are moving forward into the tackle. And hence the reason why the sanction is at penalty only. So again, key phrasing, always upright, above the base of the sternum, with passive contact, and the ball carrier wins the collision, meaning that is a penalty only. Adam, anything to add from your point of view?
No, and I think it's always good to describe, to actually describe that, in this case, you can almost describe it live. It's passive, he's upright, penalty only. And that way you can sell that to the players, especially if you go back for the penalty. It's a really good sell, is just go, why is it only penalty only? Well, it's because it's passive. There's no direct head contact, just penalty only, fellas. Ladies.
And that's a really good point about being able to communicate that back to players, and hopefully they'll be able to almost learn as they go through. So I know that's great advice, Adam. Thank you. And we'll move on. Thanks, Owen. So the third and final clip, same process, everybody. The best till last day. So again, Adam, we'll ask you to storyboard it from a refereeing point of view, please. And then Owen will be sending out the poll as well. Adam, just at the end, as you're storyboarding, if you wouldn't mind referencing a little bit around the referee positioning as well for us, please.
Yeah, so what we've clearly got here is we've got a bit of a line break happening. So that's really key for us. We've got to be really aware of when we've got these line breaks, what's going to happen next. Well, it's going to be a player coming across the field to tackle this player. So thought process here on that is that we've got to sorry. Have a go. Sorry. So we got to be aware of that. We've just got to also. So we got here. What we've got is a guy that has bent, but has he bent enough at the waist? And then we've also got a clear question around whether we've got a real wrap. And then thirdly, what is the contact point? On the slow-mo on a very small screen, it's looking like we've got heads, potentially head on head. If not, it is definitely above the sternum.
And obviously, just around that refereeing position as well as the clip plays through, obviously we've got the as you say, a line break and our referees coming across. You know, what are some of those considerations? The referee is a little bit further away than the first two clips.
Yeah, so we've got to, I think as a referee here, we've got to work hard when we start seeing this line break opportunity. We've got to work hard because we know what's going to happen here. If it gets outside 14, you've got a lot of players in potentially between you and the ball carrier. So we've got to work ourselves into a better position here to work back, maybe just follow him from behind. Key things we spoke about on the National League pods is about the fact of where's the head space, where's the heads going to meet, and we need to have a clear view of where those heads are going to meet. So that, are they going to be both in the same region or not? And you've got to just look, you've got to move yourself to be in that position to be able to see where those heads are going to be.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. Owen, I know has put the polls out already. Owen, if you wouldn't mind just feeding back around the thoughts of those on the call, please.
Well, good thing is that we all think it's at least illegal. So we've got 100% of people think that it's illegal, which is great. Probably not the most difficult one to work out whether something's illegal or not. But from a coherence perspective, again, we're up at around 85% of people are going with a penalty kick with a yellow card. I don't think it's particularly out of order if you were to say that this would be a red card. Again, it's probably about the choice of language that you use. And on the next slide, we'll go through, again, the agreed outcome. But the most important thing on something like this is the language that we use. And if you use language that reflects the reality, then I don't think we can go too far amiss. I suppose just quickly off the back of that as well, we've got over 75% confidence at 3 and 4. So most people, well, everybody understanding that this is illegal and fairly confident in their decision. So I'll move on to the agreed outcome now.
Thank you. So again, working through this, has there been foul play? Yes. How would you describe the actions of the player? So number 13 has attempted to lower the tackle height, making the tackle from behind. Contact is made above the base of the sternum. That is key. There is no latent low change in body height for the ball carrier. Number 5 makes no attempt to make a legal tackle, leading with his shoulder and no wrap. And the sanction is agreed by the National League match official team referees is that is a penalty kick and yellow card for number 5. So again, the key phrasing around that, the first player in does attempt to lower the tackle height or does lower the tackle height, making the tackle from behind. Contact is above the base of the sternum, and that number 5 makes no attempt to make a legal tackle, leading with the shoulder and no wrap. And obviously, just a reminder around that terminology. It's quite a good idea for the referees on the call just to make sure that you do rehearse or play through some of the terminology, as both Adam and Owen have alluded to. The greater the way or the better you are at explaining the decision to the players, the greater their understanding it is, and also perhaps lessens the ability for players to be confused during the game. Adam, I don't know if you've got any thoughts around that.
Yeah, so I think that's really key is the language used here. So I think, like Owen says, in fact, you could potentially have it could potentially be a red card. I think I'm really happy with the yellow card here because you've got that secondary tackler, but it's how you sell the tackler there. But also the fact is that there's no attempt to make a legal tackle, so we're always at foul play. And then it's more about that actual contact point. So let's be really aware of where that contact point is. I say I'm happy with yellow because I think we do have an initial contact on the shoulder and then it hits the head. So we've got the ability to sort of downgrade the height of the head contact process as well as looking at the DLV process.
Thank you. And obviously, I know that you made reference to the positioning, and perhaps the referee can kind of track back a little bit and try and pick up that contact. But are there any other considerations around that positioning if you were the referee in that?
Yeah, game? I think that's a.
I think Adam might be struggling a little bit with the Costa Wi-Fi, Smalley, so I don't mind jumping in on that one. I think
thank you, mate.
From our perspective, I think what we've got to make sure we do is that we're always working hard. I know Adam alluded to it earlier, is that whenever we see these line breaks, I remember seeing a statistic around penalty accuracy versus distance that the referee travelled. And that when we go for long distances at high speed and we're fatigued and potentially under pressure, we don't always make the most accurate decisions. So by able to have a really clear process with some language that may be rehearsed or some little buzz phrases, like we can see the stuff in red there, and trying to get in a position where we see the clear contact as best we can, I think we're trying to set ourselves up for success there, aren't we?
That's brilliant. Thank you. And yeah, thanks to Adam as well for persisting with that. So we'll move on to our final clip, Owen. Yes, number 4.
We've got bonus clip number 4 tonight on our final one. We're giving everybody a bonus clip. So exactly the same. The polls will come out. And like I say, it might be that Adam's struggling a little bit with the Wi-Fi, so I don't mind jumping in and storyboarding for you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Owen.
Super. So I'll open the polls for the 4th and final time of the series. I suppose you're going to ask me to storyboard it, aren't you, as well?
I'll see if Adam's there, but yes, if Adam's not, then yeah, you're a man of many talents this evening. Adam, are you with us, mate?
I've just come back. Yeah, sorry, that's a hotspot off my phone instead.
Okay. Again, if you wouldn't mind just storyboarding the clip for us, just from a refereeing point of view, please, mate.
Yeah, could you just show it one more time, Owen, just while I watch it. So we have here the clear line break. So as a referee, we've got to be really aware there's going to be a fullback coming up here. And then we've got a guy that's clearly high. He's always in an upright position. So we have got foul play. And then we've got the ricochet of the fact that it's high, it's with force, it's a high degree of danger. So therefore, with a DLV, I'm going yellow card here.
Obviously, again, that key terminology. Did the fact that it's a line break have any consideration as well? I know that's been raised a couple of times. We're just simply looking at this as a foul play event, aren't we?
Yeah, and foul play on its own. Look, it's a clear dominant hit. So yeah, we got a clear dominant hit. It's dynamic. But he is in control. So the tackler is actually in control of the situation. It's not such a dynamic hit or that he's out of control and therefore we're thinking anything more. But it is dominant. It is high, and because of that, we have to consider the fact that it is higher degree of danger, and therefore that's where we're going towards a yellow card.
You mentioned that the player is in control. What types of things are you looking for from a player, although foul play has been committed? What types of things are you looking from the play here or the tackler to meet that in control standard?
So what we're looking for is them not leaving their feet, not jumping into the tackle. He's always on the ground, this tackler. He's not left his feet. He's not jumped into him. So therefore, for me, that's what's in control around this.
And I guess the fact that the player wraps and both players go to floor or go to the ground, is that another consideration for you?
Yeah, that, for me, that's the other thing. Is, he hasn't hit him and it's bounced away because he's not wrapped him. He has wrapped him still, and he has still brought him to the floor, showing that control. So there, he's hit him. He's wrapped him and just brought him to the floor there. So he hasn't brought him down in an unsafe manner. He hasn't hit him so hard and left his feet and then caused something else to happen.
And finally, mate, just a comment on the refereeing. I think it's a really good example of a player kind of a referee chasing play and then trying to get a wider angle by coming out a little bit wider. If you wouldn't mind just expanding on that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is that, these sort of situations, and this is with the line break kind of situation, is that fact of, as a referee, you don't always want to be chasing from behind because you might not have the clearest view of where the contact point is. So give yourself a little bit of a wider angle actually allows you to clearer see where that contact point is. Chasing from behind it's actually quite a hard one to judge where the hit is. Just give yourself that extra step sideways. It's just giving them the ability to see where that initial contact point is, whether it's above the sternum or not.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you very much. Owen, we'll come to you around the results of the polls, please.
Yeah. I'll just have one last refresh. Again, most people, the vast majority of people, 75% are at some kind of card, which is great. Again, 100% of people seeing this as foul play, which is lovely to see. We're obviously we're all on the same page in that sense. 73% of people at card, 50% at yellow, and just over 20% at red card. Again, I think for me, it's similar to the previous clip, and again that the language that you use will determine what sanction comes, and we'll go to the agreed outcome next, and the language that we would use to describe this. Confidence 90% are at 3s and 4s, which is fantastic to see. So thanks very much for everybody on your polling tonight. There's some really good coherence, and we'll go through to the last agreed outcome.
So yes, last agreed outcome. Was there foul play? Yes. And how would you describe the action of the players? The tackler is always upright and contact is made above the base of the sternum. And just a reminder that red bold lettering or wording is the terminology and the language that we need to continue to use. There was no clear head-on-head contact, but the heads are in the same headspace. There is no late or low change in body height from the ball carrier, and the tackle is dynamic. So the player has a clear line of sight and time to change their body height. It's a dominant tackle with the heads in the same airspace, meaning that the sanction is a penalty kick and a yellow card. So again, the key phrases: always upright, contact above the base of the sternum, the tackler is dynamic and is a dominant tackle. Again, it is worthwhile rehearsing those phrases. So again, when it comes time or as and when these incidents arrive, our referees have the opportunity or will have had the opportunity to practice the phrasing. And again, that is key to communication, both for players, coaches, and the referees themselves.
Super. Look, that's great. I'm just replying to a few bits in the chat box. We've got one thing which is always good to talk about, Smalley, is if we have head-on-head as the facts in the final clip, would we use the DLV decision-making framework, or would we look to use a different decision-making tool? And ultimately, do we think that would lead us to a different outcome?
I'll come to Adam if I may, because obviously as the on-field practitioner. So Adam, I'm not sure if you heard the question, but obviously in the final clip, if that tackler makes head-on-head contact, does that change your process? If you wouldn't mind explaining to the call, please.
Yeah. So if we've got head-on-head process, if we've got head-on-head, then we have to follow the head contact process rather than the DLV process. If it was direct head-on-head, then we would be looking at probably red card there. If we have the head-on-head, if the head contact was secondary to the body contact, then that's where your mitigation potentially would be, that the main impact was through the body and then it was contact with the heads, which would mitigate you down to the yellow. But the main thing around that is if it is head contact still, we must follow the head contact process. This is to do DLVs were for below outside of that head contact process.
And it's worth reminding everybody on the call, and thank you to Adam for the terminology around using that word of mitigation. Obviously, through the head contact protocols, and the ability for the referee when he or she is making their decision, if there are factors such as the fact that the contact goes through the body first, then leading to the head, that is a key mitigating factor of why the referee may or may not award a red card as opposed to a yellow card. So again, they are clearly spelled out through the head contact process and the framework that exists. So please do revisit that. And as I say, those links around all of our resources were on the QR codes earlier on the call. Adam, thank you very much for explaining that. Sorry, I dropped you in that a little bit, mate, but yeah, really good answer. So the DLV top tips, just coming towards the end of the call, just keep working hard to be in the best position to see the tackle. I think that's massively important from a refereeing point of view. And again, some really nice reminders from Adam just around that positioning and getting yourself a little bit wider. Please consider the language you use. The more aligned we are as officials with our language, the more players will be able to learn and react as to what we are doing. Again, that comes back to that consistency message around this. We're a few months into the DLVs now, and the more consistent we can be in the language we use, the better it is for all of the stakeholders in our game. Just a reminder to use the captains to pass on messages and consider the desk principle. Again, use language to help you sell these decisions. And once the phase is ended, consider your transition. Owen or Adam, that last piece where it says, once the phase is ended, consider your transition. What does that mean from a National League refereeing point of view? Adam, we'll come to you if we may.
Yeah, so we have to, so how we're moving away from each tackle zone. So you look at the ruck and how we're moving then to the next phase. So this is the big thing. Is like we looked at that one with green against purple. Was how did that referee move across the field? And the fact is that he was quite slow across the field, which made he got out of position. And the fact is how he transitioned across meant that he didn't see the contact properly clearly. Difference to that, to the last clip we saw, where the referee has, once that first phase ended, he's then followed around the corner and he's considered how he's going to transition across to be in the best possible position to see the ball and see the tackle zone.
That's great. Thank you very much. Perfect. On the slides, Owen, obviously our holding slide at the end obviously means that we've come to the end of the call. First and foremost, massive thank you to Adam, National League Match Official Team referee, who's joined us in the services on his travels. Adam, really appreciate your input and some really fantastic advice and for those on the call. And secondly, to Owen Taylor for his work in running all the IT, the polls, the clips, etc. It's been fantastic to have somebody of his caliber run that. And I know that we certainly benefit from being able to interact. And finally, our last thank you to all of you for giving up your time this evening. As was mentioned at the very beginning of the call, this is the final in this series of the DLV Coherence activities. So we do calls or events have found this really useful. And as Owen referenced, there's clearly an increased coherence.
It looks like it's just me remaining, actually. Everybody's internet's failing them at the minute. There's nothing really more to add as to what Andrew has said. Hope that people have enjoyed this evening. Hope that people have enjoyed the full series. If you have missed any of our series, you can head to the Tackle Height Hub, which has got all the links where you would sign up through Workcast, as you have done today, Or similarly, if you head over to keepyourbootson.co.uk/referee, you'll be able to see all our content on there as well. So have a great evening. Good luck if you're out on the weekend or anytime next week. And we look forward to engaging with you again very, very soon. Thanks, everybody.